This is a preview of Forza Motorsport that I played on Xbox Series X in ray tracing performance mode, and oh god, it looks so good. But in this video, I'm going to give you my impressions of the driving model, a glimpse into how car progression actually works, my thoughts on the Builders Cup, and why I reckon this is the perfect entry point for Forza Horizon players who are new to motorsport. This is one of the races in the Builders Cup, and this is going to be the primary structure for player progression throughout Forza Motorsport. But first, let's cover a few of the graphic settings. Now, the footage you're going to be seeing is all in performance ray tracing, which is full ray tracing on track at 60 FPS with a dynamic resolution. But you do have two other options, one which prioritizes visuals at 4K 30 and full ray tracing, and one that just prioritizes performance, maxing out the frame rate, but without any ray tracing. They all look great, but definitely my favorite was the performance ray tracing mode. As for the Builders Cup, like I said, this is your primary progression that you're going to be experiencing in Forza Motorsport. And it's quite a good structure, I would say, for new players to franchise, especially for those that may be used to car progression in Horizon, where typically you would use credits to upgrade your car, tune it as you desire. But with Forza Motorsport, it's much more about the journey that you go on with your car. So they like to say built, not bought, and this is really true of the Builders Cup, because you would start off with a car like I did here. As you're progressing through the Builders Cup, you will be earning car points, which you can then use to purchase specific upgrades. But not only that, throughout races and throughout practice races, you'll be leveling up the car, which is a really crucial part of car progression. You can't just whack on whatever exhaust or different transmission you like straight away. You do actually have to grow and progress with the car by performing well in races, performing well in different segments of races, and all of this is reflected up in the top right, where you can actually see your current car level, segment scores, as well as other details about the race you're doing, like the laps. Now, as for the driving itself, this is all really, really well tuned. I could feel the weight of the car. I could feel in between races when I was making adjustments. There were real tangible differences between races whenever I would upgrade the car and fit in a new part. And this is all reflected in the physics model that I suppose Turn 10 have paid really close attention to. If you've played Horizon, you probably know that that's much more of an arcade game. And while I wouldn't say Motorsport is perhaps full sim, it certainly offers more of the nuance and technicality that you would expect of a competitive racer, which I think is something that strikes a real good balance between offering players new to franchise who maybe are familiar with Horizon or are just brand new to Forza all up, as well as offering seasoned players who have played previous Forza Motorsport games or other sim racers a really nice jumping off point for them to get to know their base car, as well as how it's going to improve over time as they're progressing them through the car levels, earning upgrades, and just getting better and better at handling the car that they've bought. Why don't we jump back and actually chat a bit about how the Builders Cup is actually structured and what that looks like for you as a player. So from this preview, I got to purchase between 3 cars, and I went for the Honda Civic 18 because it just looks awesome. There are a couple options you'll need to consider, such as the difficulty of the drivatars you're going to be going up against, as well as the realism level that you'd like. I played this on the maximum realism, as well as I would say medium difficulty of drivatar, and it felt quite rewarding because I wasn't just zooming off and beating all the drivatars around me, because I did have to consider certain things about the car, such as tire wear, damage levels, as well as the actual weight of any fuel that I was carrying with me. And all of this was really well translated throughout the practice laps, which is something you'll do ahead of the actual race. And it's a really important part of the Builders Cup, because that gives you your base understanding of how well is your car going to perform on this next track, what are the segments that you're definitely going to need to pay attention to and improve on, and all of this feedback's being given back to you in real time as you're driving around on the practice lap. But they also set you a target lap time that you'll want to consider based on the drivatar difficulty that you've chosen at the start of the cup. And it's important to try and hit that because, well, if you don't, you're probably going to get absolutely smoked on the race. The full race works quite similarly to a series in Forza Horizon, in that you will earn points based on the position that you finish, and those will be calculated by the end of it to figure out who the overall champion is. In this particular Builders Cup, we had 3 races that we competed across, so there was a practice lap for each of those, as well as being able to choose where we'd like to start on the grid. Now, choosing where you start on the grid gives you an estimated finishing spot, which is something you should be able to hit based on the difficulty that you chose for the drivatars as well as the realism level, but it also offers you bonuses based on how far back you're going to start. So for seasoned drivers, you may want to start further back in the grids. I think the best that I managed to do was starting around 17th, and I did manage to win a race when I was driving in the Mustang, which obviously netted me huge rewards in terms of coins that I could use to purchase other cars, as well as much more progression on the car that I was currently driving. Of course, we didn't get a full look at every single track that will be in the game, and there's supposedly 20 that are going to be available at launch. But on Grand Oak, I did get to see it at different times of day because the practice race was at a different time than the full race. Cars are reacting with the light around them because of the ray tracing, but also based on the damage that they're receiving. And there's a couple of times I got into a few scrapes and it looked really believable. There were sparks flying, there was paint literally chipped off both cars. It really translates the impact that two cars can have against each other when they collide. And although I didn't get into any catastrophic crashes, I could tell that if I were to absolutely ding the car, it probably would impact the performance in a really negative way. So clean racing is definitely the way to go in motorsport. But like I said, this is just a small snapshot of what Forza Motorsport is going to offer on October 10th when it does fully release and hit Game Pass day one. We're going to have loads more content in the run up to that day. So make sure to like and subscribe so that we know that you want to see more Forza Motorsport content when it comes. As for what you saw today, why don't you let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on Forza Motorsport, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!